Hey everybody, it's Monster back again with Opus Gaming, and I'm here today bringing you guys my green RoseBloom deck profile. This is going to be the deck that I piloted for the online Gen Con actually for both events, and I finished, I think it was 33rd place on the first event, and the second event I ended up dropping just because I had another One Piece event. It was going to be my fourth event the next day, and I just didn't have it in me to keep playing for the rest of the day. But RoseBloom has been really, really fun. It's been one of my primary decks and definitely my primary green deck for the format. It's super strong and it has lots of really powerful lines that you can go on, but before I get too lost in talking about the deck profile and everything, you guys already know we're on our way to 1,000 subscribers. So if you guys aren't subbed, drop a sub down below. But let's get into the deck profile right now. All right, as usual for a Digimon deck profile, we're going to get into the eggs right away. And we're going to start off here with all 5 of them. Even though in this list we're not playing Mimi, we're still on 5 eggs because we are a more mid-rangey control deck, so sometimes you really need to cycle your eggs. And having a little bit of variety is really nice. So we do have the Argomon. If we do start off with 3 with the Memory Tamer, and then you get just +1 with Argomon, it's just huge, huge value, and it's always been like that, so we really like the Argomon egg. But Kokomon is definitely the standout premier egg for Bloomlord right now. And for most green decks, honestly, anything that's playing a heavy Digisorption package or a heavy like Sambi Santi package, Kokomon is gonna be a really, really consistent egg. I'm getting draws on these once, twice, sometimes 3 times in a turn because I'll have 3 of them on the board, and just spending with like a Sunflowmon or an Ayatarmon can get you huge value. So we're running a 5 egg split, and then we're going to get into some of our level 3s. We'll talk about the Pomomon package first. We're playing 2 Pomomon, obviously, for the Royal Knights matchup. This is really awesome when you're trying to respond to your opponent playing the 6-cost option. So the turn after they play the 6-cost option is a really good time to play this. Or if you're kind of going through the game and you just know when your opponent's going to drop the Omnimon, you play this the turn before the Omnimon comes out, and it pushes them off 1 full turn from being able to Omnimon you. They can still out it really easily with a Gallantmon, or there's a lot of cards that they can use to out it, honestly, but it just needs to exist for the 1 turn so that they have to burn through their effects before they're able to pop off. So Pomemon's a really good floodgate, and then the other Pomomon, this card's a Bloomlord staple. You guys know how important this is when you're using like Hydramon. You can suspend this and then get a suspend on your opponent's side to get extra memory. There's just lots of ways that you can use this. Sometimes you just need to suspend something so you can attack into it to get board advantage as well. So playing 2 Pomomon is really nice just because you want to see it multiple times, because sometimes it does end up being your first rookie, and lots of you guys know your first rookie usually gets sacrificed to a Digivolution line. But moving into our next level 3 slots, we have our searchers. We have 4 Palmon, 4 Lalamon. Both of these cards serve the same purpose. Lalamon does have a nifty new inheritable where it reduces the Digivolution cost by 1 if you have a Tamer on the board, and this version of the deck is very focused on establishing Yoshino. It's a very important card and it's a very strong card, so I really, really like opening up this Lalamon. I'll put it in raising every time, and then hard playing this Palmon, because the Palmon is the 4-card searcher that can easily pick up 2. Lalamon, to pick up 2, you have to hit your Yoshino. So they're both really great value cards, and they're both powerful searchers that make the deck crazy, crazy consistent. Talking about the level 4s, this part is actually really, really easy because we're playing 3 copies of 4 level 4s. So the Sunflowmon package, we have the old Sunflowmon. This card is fantastic for when you're trying to build a stack where you're raising up an Ayatarmon, putting an extra card on the board, and then building out to 4 Digimon. Having 2 of these is imperative in that strategy, or even if you're building out to 3 Digimon, lots of times seeing a Sunflowmon on the Digivolve is crazy, so we're going to keep that at 4. It's going to be a staple in every Bloomlord deck, I think, just kind of for like ever, just because of the nature of the card. But we have the new Sunflowmon. This card is cracked. It has the same inheritable as Lalamon, so it's really easy to stack. But on your turn, when you're playing out the Ayatarmon, you Ayatarmon into this, right? And even though you don't get your initial suspend and memory game off of your Ayatar inheritable, if you go with this play, it's really nice to just suspend this and go into a Bloomlord for 2, or sometimes even 0 if you have the correct inheritables. And then Bloomlord pops off, gains you a bunch of memory, and then you have extra memory to play. So you can get other Digimon on the board, get those Digimon suspended, and trigger Ayatarmon's inheritable without having to use your Bloomlord. Suspending on the first one. So honestly, Sunflowmon is just a combo piece that the deck has been missing, honestly, for a while, and it makes the deck feel insanely smooth. Just digivolving into a fairy and reducing the cost is crazy. Oh, the other combo with this too is we do play the level 5, so you can suspend this, target itself, to digivolve into a level 5 and get a Tamer on the board, and that is also crazy value. So Sunflowmon is one of the most important and one of the most powerful new cards that we've gotten for the Bloomlord archetype for sure. Red Vegemon, on the other hand, this card is just a staple. It's really, really good. You'll see another card that I play in here that utilizes the 3 cost for this card, but it's really important to have this, even just for digivolving up your line, or if you need to make a certain digivolution fit into a turn. Having a 1 cost option is super nice, but having the 3 play cost and 3000 DP just to fit into the archetype is really why it's here. So getting into some of the 1-ofs, we play 1 Lilamon and 1 Blossomon. Lilamon is the fairy type level 5 that Sunflowmon can digivolve on top of, which is crazy. And then when you do digivolve this card, you get to play out a tamer for free, the Yoshino tamer. So sometimes you're stuck in a position where you have to digivolve this on board, right? You get out the Yoshino, but the Yoshino counts as an extra memory. So when you're digivolving into your 6, you can reduce the cost or gain back the memory and get additional value. So I really like Lilamon. It was just difficult to fit this in at 2 because all of the level 5 slots are very, very, very particular. So this card, I only had space to put the 1 in. And then Blossom on this card's amazing. It's just limited to 1, so we're only playing 1 of it. Moving into our 2-ofs, Cherrymon. So one of these Cherrymons is the reason that we're only playing 1 Lilamon. With Cherrymon, this card is crazy powerful, but it's very defensive as well, and I really want to see it just consistently as compared to Lilamon. Lilamon was really good at setting up a board, but in certain situations where you just need a blocker, you just need some form of defense, Cherrymon comes down and is just super, super efficient. So that's the reason that we're on 2 of the Cherrymon. And then before we get into the last bit of the level 5s, we'll talk about Ayatarmon. Ayatarmon is still hands down by far the best level 5 in the deck. It's the level 5 that you want to search for. If you have the option of putting any other level 5 in raising or playing down a memory boost or a searcher card, you play down the searching card every time to try to find the Ayatarmon, because the level of power that this deck is at is a whole nother level with the Ayatarmon inheritable and the Ayatarmon main effect. So you guys will see that we're really leaning into making this deck more aggressive and having more kill potential. And Ayatarmon is just one of the cards that really, really helps with that. So another card that helps with that, though, is the Chimeramon. This card came in and killed my opponent so many times. This is how you get out of your own Quartzmon locks. This is how you set up additional swings with Bloom Lords. If you can get 2 checks out or 4 checks out with the Bloom Lord, or if you can get two Bloom Lords to do 2 checks, and you have the Chimeramon play in hand, you can just swing through your opponent's security, go into the Chimeramon, get a really broken inheritable out of your trash, check into security, and then go into Bloom Lord for game. This card accelerates your game turn by 1 full turn is what I've realized when I do see it. The only reason that we're not playing this at 2 of is because it's not searchable, and since we're playing a total of, I think it's 4 of each of the rookie searchers, and then we also have the memory boost. So with like the 11 or 12 searchers that we have in the deck, none of them can find Chimeramon, so you end up having to play it as a 1-of because it takes up slots of cards that are findable and in archetype. And then it ends up just being a card that when you do see it on searches, it goes to the bottom of the deck. So you don't want to see it at too many copies, but it is insanely impactful for sure. Moving on to our level 6s, we'll start with our 1 of level 6. It's the new Rosemon. This card's a fantastic floodgate. It can help you in your Royal Knights matchup, and it's actually got just a really strong ability to suspend out some of your opponent's board. Sometimes you're not able to go into a really powerful Hydramon play or a really powerful Bloom Lord play, and going into Rosemon honestly feels very consistent and really safe a lot of times, so I like to play the Rosemon at 1. Playing it at 2, we're not doing too much with the burst mode effects, and a lot of times we're going for more of a traditional Digivolve up when we're going up into our level 7s, so I never felt like I needed it at more than 1. So Rosemon, but it's a fantastic card. It's definitely gets like a 10 out of 10, but it's just how many situations you're actually able to use it in. We have 2 Hydramon. Hydramon's fantastic with how aggressive the meta is right now. You don't get the chance to use this effect too often. When you're fighting things like Royal Knights, or if you're fighting something like Shine Greymon, this card just doesn't do as much work. This card does do work when you're digivolving it, but this is the type of card that you want to leave on the board and get residual effects, and it's just really hard to do right now. So a lot of times I would opt to go into my more aggressive, immediate value plays, and then only falling back on the Hydramons when I'm in danger or if I really just need card removal. So though that's the reason we're playing 2 of it. It's very, very searchable with all the searchers in the deck, so we definitely got to see it when we needed to. But the big change to the Bloom Lord deck right now, and why we stopped calling it Hydramon deck, is we're on 4 Bloom Lord. Bloom Lord is crazy right now. It does so much for the deck. It does so many checks to your opponent, and when you're checking 4 checks or 3 checks at 16k, it just feels super consistent. And right now, between the Sunflowmon, the old Sunflowmon, the Lalamons, and the Tamers, reducing your Digivolution counts down, there are turns where you're starting off at 3 memory, and then you're bouncing back to like 7 memory after resolving your effects, right? Because sometimes you're going into free Digivolutions and tapping your Tamer for free. resolving a Bloom Lord to get +2 or something like that, it can get just very crazy. So we bumped this up to 4 because we just consistently want to see the Bloom Lord, and we want to see Bloom Lord in multiples. The thing with Bloom Lord is that it sets itself up to go into another copy really well. When you're getting reduced Digivolution costs and then gaining memory on top of that, you have additional memory to continue playing the game. So you can put an extra level 5 on board, you can go into another Bloom Lord and get extra checks, and it just really slows down the pace of what your opponent can do, as well as the amount of turns that you need to kill your opponent. So getting into our level 7s, we're going to start off with the 1-of. We do have one RoseBloom Burst Mode. This card is a fantastic card. It doesn't lock your side of the board down, so if you're sitting on like Iatarmons or if you're sitting on anything at all, you get to use the residual effects. The only reason that we're only playing this at 1-of is because this just isn't as good as Quartzmon. Quartzmon is a more powerful card, and 90% of the time you do want to drop this over dropping a Quartzmon. Or I mean, you want to drop a Quartzmon over dropping this, but this does have its unique uses where you can burst Digivolve into this, right? Lock down your opponent's board for 1 turn, get the benefit of swinging and trashing your turn, but then you get to refresh everything on your side of the board. You use all of your resources on your side of the board, and then you go into Quartzmon on top of the same level 6 that you burst this one onto. That's the reason that I really wanted to keep at least one of the RoseBloom, as well as it just being crazy findable and just crazy efficient. So keeping combos like that is really important, but ultimately the deck is still a Quartzmon deck. Right now, you definitely want to play 3 level 7s, if not 4, because you're constantly going into the 7s. The 7s are it's so easy to go into your 6s right now with how much Digivolution reduction you have. And then if you split your turns up into 2 turns, so you go into a level 6 1 turn, and then you go into the level 7 the next turn, if you do have Digivolution reduction, the Digivolution reduction works on the Quartzmon. So it's one of the few effects that doesn't need like plant or fairy or vegetation. So when you're going into a Quartzmon for 5 and then gaining back 2 or 3 memory, and Quartzmon only costs you like 3 memory, this card just gets out of control with how much value it gets. So Quartzmon is crazy. It's always been crazy, but right now it feels like it's got a really good home right now in the deck. And then for the Tamer, we've talked about it once or twice in the deck profile so far, but we have Yoshino. Yoshino does a lot for the deck, and I used to play it at 4, but I think playing it at 3 is really good. Sometimes you just don't have the extra memory to drop the extra Yoshino to just keep on comboing and keep on gaining memory. But if your opponent hits this in security, if you hit a free Lilamon on top of playing 1 on your curve on your 2nd or 3rd turn, it's crazy. Once you get 2 Yoshinos out and you're Digivolving a Bloom Lord for 2 consistently just off of this, and then gaining memory, the deck pops off like crazy. So we really want to keep the Yoshino count high. Going into the options, we obviously have the 1-of Hidden Potential discovered. Honestly, there's not too much to say about this. If you've ever played Bloom Lord, you know how insane it is when you draw this card. So we're just keeping it at 1. And then we're finishing it out with 3 green memory boosts. This is the additional searcher. This is the card that boosts us up to 11 total searchers in the deck. And it's part of the reason why we can't play like more Chimeramon and cards like that, because it's just consistently looking for the green Digimon. So when we were playing more Yoshinos at 4 and stuff like that, we were able to find multiple Lilamons and do combos like that. But green memory boost just being a setter, and if your opponent hits it in security and gives you a really crazy pop-off turn, this deck closes out games like no other. So honestly, it's all been super, super consistent and feels like a really strong deck right now. It's something that I've been playing all through the BT13 format, and I don't really feel like it has any terrible matchups except for the Shine Greymon matchup. Obviously, since you're setting up such a wide board, right, when your opponent's hitting all of your cards, it hurts. But you're getting such good immediate value on Bloom Lord, and if you don't hit any Tamers in their security, it can really start off on the right foot for you. So I think Bloom Lord is crazy right now, but I really like the ratios in this. I tested this deck a ton, and I've been playing it a ton. So I really find out kind of like some of the cards that you want to play. I don't like the 4-cost Vegiemon. I don't think it's necessary because you want consistency with like your Iatarmons. You want consistency with your Sunflowmon plays, especially because we have Chimeramon. And I especially like the 1 Rosemon to 2 Hydramon split right now. Feels very, very clean. Having 7 level 6s to go into your 3 level 7s is really, really nice. So I think that's kind of all the notes that I have on the deck. But if you guys have any questions at all, feel free to leave them down in the comments. And if you guys haven't left a like or anything like that, leave a like, drop the comments and all that stuff. But this is going to be Jamonster with Opus Gaming, and I'm out. Take care, you guys.